record on this computer and hold on, let's pause it. Hello and welcome to another edition of Conversations with the Coach. I'm the coach, Eustace Leon Greaves Jr., an independent insurance agent and broker here in New York State. And like any good coach, I like to stay on the sidelines during these conversations and let my guests speak. I wear my baseball cap. This cap is from Prep for Prep, a wonderful organization. And I love to wear this cap. Why? Because their motto is excellence, integrity, commitment, and courage. So I'm going to wear my coach's cap. So I hope that my guest, a very, very special guest, ladies and gentlemen, one of the few speakers that I'm afraid to follow on speaking platforms because she's so good. Her name is Samantha Virgo, and she is an attorney at law. She has an office at 5421 Church Avenue, and that's in Brooklyn. She's on the second floor. We're gonna give out some more of her information before the end of this video. But I just want to give you her phone number as well. The office number is 347-435-0256, and her email address is svirgo, like the horoscopical form, you know, whatever we call that thing, horoscope or whatever, svirgo@virgolawfirm.com. So the other day I stopped by Samantha's office. We were having a conversation, and the conversation turned to, say, the differences between buying, the legal differences really between buying a house, a condo, or a co-op. And so I said, you know what? The people need to hear this. So I want to turn it over to Samantha Virgo, but before she starts talking about that, Samantha, just tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, Mr. Greaves, thank you so much for having me on your platform. It is an honor to be in your presence. Just like you, I am in awe at your public speaking abilities. Do we have to start over?
Preach, preach. Preach. Okay.
So a little bit about myself. I went to school at Long Island University. I did my bachelor's and actually master's at Long Island University in the Brooklyn campus. I went to law school in Michigan. I went to Western Michigan University where I obtained my JD. Currently, I am operating in the heart of East Flatbush, serving a heavily populated Caribbean clientele. My firm focuses on real estate transactions, business transactions, wills and estates, and immigration. I don't know what else you want to know about me. I just, I love the heart and soul and just beat of our Caribbean people. I'm passionate about serving the Caribbean population and helping small businesses build to greatness. Anything else you want to know, you'd have to ask me specific questions, but that's me in a nutshell.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's turn to the topic at hand. When we were talking the other day, you know, the differences, the legal differences, or what you do as a lawyer for a home as opposed to a condo or a co-op.
So let me start with explaining the differences in the process, right? With a home, you deal directly with the homeowner, you put in an offer, they accept it, you just have to worry about them accepting, your bid, and then you have to worry about what stipulations they want to put in the contract versus what you want to put in the contract, right? So it's more or less a simplified, you deal with a loan officer if you've taken out a loan to get the home, you deal with a title company that does all the lien searches, et cetera, title issue searches on the home. And once you work through that, then you're able to close on your home. With a co-op, when you purchase a co-op, you're not actually owning the physical apartment, you're owning shares in a corporation. And their process is pretty extensive in that they have an approval, in addition to the leaseholder selling or the shareholder selling their shares to you, because that's what you're really buying. You're buying shares in the company that will then turn into a lease that allows you to live on the premises. But in addition to the shareholder agreeing to enter into a contract of sale with you, The co-op board need to approve your application. So they do a financial background check on you. They pull you in for an interview. There's an extensive application that you need to submit. And so once you get through those hurdles, then there's some little kinks here and there that you have to work through. But the difference is when you buy a private home, you have to really just worry about the homeowner approving your application and enter into a contract. Whereas when you buy a co-op, in addition to the shareholder, the board has to like you to agree to allow you to be a part of this cooperative or company. All right. With a condo has similar processes as a co-op. It's not as extensive. So technically, when you buy a condo, you own the apartment, right? So you're not buying into shares in the company. You own the apartment. You own common areas, which is why you pay like maintenance fees. So you worry about that apartment owner liking you and entering into a contract with you. And there are rules and regulations that you have to follow. But the difference is when it comes to a condominium, a board cannot reject your application. So in a co-op, they have the power to say, no, I don't like that person. We're not approving her application. Whereas in a condo, while they have their own vetting processes, they can't decide to not, approve your application because they don't like you. Now they can delay your application and they can handbug the process, but they can't reject you. Right. And the major difference is when you buy into a condo, you own the apartment and while you technically own the common areas, you don't have the ability to sell the common areas, right? So you just pay for the upkeep and the maintenance, etc. And in a co-op, you buy into shares into that cooperative or shares into that company. And in your personal one family, multifamily home, you own it. You own the property, the real estate straight out. So really, in a single family and multifamily home, you own an interest in real estate. In a co-op, you don't own interest in real estate. What you have is what we call an intangible personal property. So it's personal property that you can't touch, like your painting or your furniture, but it's personal property nonetheless, not real estate.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, let's say if somebody is trying to decide between a condo apartment they want to buy or a co-op apartment they want to buy, the person thinking about the co-op really has to have a longer time frame than the person buying the condo, because you've got to fill out this extensive application for the board. You've got to, I guess, and I understand that some boards only meet quarterly, right?
Correct. So it all depends on if they even if they're following their protocol. Some boards are a complete mess altogether, which gets me to another topic. But if they're following their protocol within the bylaws, it will say to you, how often the board is supposed to meet, which is why it's important in the vetting process. If you have a really good real estate agent, they will collect the critical documents that are necessary for you to assess whether or not this is a cooperative that you want to be a part of, right? So you'd want to take a look at the bylaws to get a sense as to how do they operate? Is this going to be a complete headache for me? Is it a completely professional cooperative that I can see myself being a part of? But once you get those documents, your real estate agent and your attorney will assist you in getting those documents if you're a buyer, so that you can appropriately vet it before you even decide if this is a road that you want to walk down. Yeah. So it's a lot to consider. A lot of people don't, a lot of buyers don't, they just think, I went to see the apartment, I love the apartment, I want to buy into it. And a lot of them don't even understand that if you buy into a co-op, you're not owning this apartment. So I've even had clients, because the thing about my real estate practice is I do every and anything that relates to real estate, right? So I do foreclosure defenses and I also do landlord tenant. And I've had shareholders in landlord tenant court that is completely baffled. Yeah, because they didn't realize I don't own the apartment. So if I'm not paying my fees and if I'm disputing their leasehold raises, then they have the right to evict me as a shareholder, because you don't own the space, you're leasing that space.
So not to cut you off, but I remember when co-ops began to require insurance, Many insurance companies did not have a co-op form. So what they were doing, because of the shareholder relationship, and since the people didn't own the space, they were able to take a renter's policy, and that would satisfy the co-op boards.
Correct.
And wow, but you know, that's so people are being hauled into landlord tenant court because they're not making. Well, let me ask you another question. What's happening now? I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of co-ops and condos of all flavors, all income brackets throughout the city, where people have not been able to make their monthly maintenance payments, fee payments, whatever the proper term is. Do you foresee a lot of work down at the down in the court system?
I foresee it, but I don't think it would be a smart move, because if I think first we have to remember that New York is a tenant-friendly state. And in light of the pandemic, once the courts open up and all these moratoriums get lifted and all the hardship affidavits expire, even if there will be, I anticipate that there will be a flood of, just eviction petitions, whether it's for shareholders or whether it's for just regular tenants. But I don't foresee, like, there's a lot of grants that are in the work where they, the government and the powers that be are foreseeing that this is going to be an issue, and it's not necessarily the tenant's fault. So there's a lot of grants and relief that will be in place to help these tenants and to help these homeowners or shareholders. And what I foresee is the courts are going to be even more sympathetic towards them, because they're already sympathetic towards tenants on a whole. And like who wouldn't be sympathetic, minus the landlords, which I completely understand, and minus someone I completely understand. But the reality is they're not going to be evicted easily, because guess what? The city's not going to want that problem on their hands. The state is not going to want that problem on their hands. And there are going to be resources in place that's added on to the resources that are already existing to help tenants and also to help landlords.
Okay, now when you mention these resources, I would imagine that you're going to be sort of locked in and very much aware of how people can access these resources. And again, look, ladies and gentlemen, anybody watching this video, it ain't free. But the thing is, I would imagine that if you're not comfortable filling out a lot of forms, gathering certain information, you want to talk to somebody like who? Samantha Virgo, right here. You want to go to her office, sit down, and figure out what it is you have to pay, and let her help you. Because it's better to go in with the guidance of somebody who knows what they're talking about than to try to wing it, and then you find yourself winging it right out of where you live. And that's amazing that could happen whether you're a shareholder in a co-op, a tenant in an apartment, or even a landlord in a home.
Correct.
So I really encourage people at all times, do yourselves a favor. Use and access the professionals who know what they're doing. I've read about certain grants, Ms. Virgo, I've read about them, but have I sat down and really gotten into them? No, I've got to read 15 trade magazines a week about insurance. And then on top of that, it's tax season. I also have a tax practice. I don't, listen, I rather say call Samantha Virgo. And Ms. What's your number again, Ms. Virgo?
It's 347-435-0256. And let me just tell you, it will be our pleasure to assist. And we don't so 347-435-0256. But the great thing about this city is, even if you don't have the time, or you can't afford to hire an attorney, there are other resources out there. And the thing that's different about my practice is I always think about the end goal, and the end goal is to help my community. So when clients come in and they're unable to afford the legal services, I direct them to resources within the city, whether it's within the courtroom itself with their help center, or with bar associations that have like pro bono work, or whether it's a not-for-profit organization who will provide you with free legal service if you qualify. I direct clients and provide them. I don't have to, but because my mission is to help and to build my community, if you can't afford, I don't take it personal. I don't take it personal because you have to do what's in your best interest. So what I do is I provide you with resources that you can then take a look into.
Okay. And I have one last question for you.
Yes, sir.
See if you give me the right answer.
Okay.
In the entire property buying process,
Mm-hmm.
isn't the insurance broker the most important person?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I know that one came out of the blue. I got you on that one. Okay. Well, but ladies and gentlemen, listen, I've had a wonderful time just having a conversation with the one, the only, the magnificent, the extraordinary, the brilliant Samantha Virgo of the Virgo Law Firm. Again, where are you located, Attorney Virgo?
I am on 5421 Church Avenue, the second floor. It's Brooklyn, New York, 11203. I'm between 55th and 54th Street. I'm closest to 55th Street. But again, it's 5421 Church Avenue, second floor, Brooklyn, New York, 11203.
And what's your website again, your email again, rather?
It's svirgo@virgolawfirm.com. svirgo@virgolawfirm.com.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, I want to thank you for the other day for the cup of coffee. It was very good. And I want to also thank you for the opportunity to meet and chat with you today again and to share this information with folks. Ladies and gentlemen, she is a community resource. All right, she's there. If you're in that community, you don't have to travel anywhere else. You've got a great attorney right there in your community whose soul beats with the same beat and passion as the Caribbean folks that live in that community. So take advantage of this great attorney. She's also great at wills, estates, and trusts. I know several of her clients, and they always speak highly of her. So again, Samantha Virgo, svirgo at virgolawfirm.com. All right, again, 718-347-435-0256. And she's right there at 5421 Church Avenue. You can get there by the Utica Avenue bus or the B35 bus, or drive over, okay? Or if you're in the community, you know where to walk to. So again, Attorney Virgo, I want to thank you for giving me some time today and for sharing your knowledge with us. You will be back again to talk about other things. And again, wills, estates, trusts, what have you, and how to keep your local insurance broker out of jail.
Oh, Mr. Cruz, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I'm honored that you invited me on your platform. I look forward to our further conversations, and you let me know when you'd love to have coffee again, okay?
Listen, when the coffee is free, you can always find me. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Conversations with the Coach. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.